Thanks, Saddam Mubali, for the updates down there. Now you know, even as we continue to follow the political situation in Uganda. A shift a bit to what is happening right here in the country. And many Kenyans, especially the youth, now depend on mobile loans as a means of survival, despite the high and often exorbitant interest rates. And the rising resilience on these loans raises critical questions. How has the economy pushed citizens into this cycle of debt? That is what we ask. Now let's look at some numbers. According to the 2024 Finances Households Survey, overall credit usage rose to about 64% in 2024, up from 60%, that is 0.8 in 2021. And I have the numbers right here on board, perhaps to just get you knowing what is going on. And the biggest question is this where people really want to be, or what it is, or what is it that actually informs this kind of numbers? So like I said, overall credit usage rose to 64%, that is in 2024, up from 60.8% in 2021. And of course, many would say this is due to app-based digital loans and mobile money credit. Pretty much say what you would say that it's, at your disposal. And of course, there's also this numbers that speak to what was the situation in 2024. Digital loan uptake, that is via mobile apps, grew slightly with over 668,000 Kenyans using them. That is by 2024, and the numbers continue to shoot up. And of course, they talk about, again, the e-loans. Overdraft usage remained high at about 18.4%, showing strong demand for short-term instant credit, as well as, of course, looking at where these numbers are coming from. We still have some savings fell from 74% in 2021 to 68.1% in 2024. And many would ask, why is it that the savings, have gone down? Simply because sometimes you would borrow, and certainly when you get some amount of money, instead of putting that to investment or saving, you have no choice but to pay the loan, so that again you're allowed to borrow, so that you increase your chances of being allowed to borrow. The household prioritized meeting day-to-day needs over saving, because times are tough, and therefore there's actually nothing that is being left for saving. Why would you want to save and then run into debt? Debt distress is rising. That is at 16.6% of borrowers completely defaulted in 2024, compared to 10.7% in 2021. And like we said, these numbers continue to shoot up before, of course, we will certainly get to have a release of the same or these surveys. High living costs, unemployment, and income shocks make digital loans a survival tool, even with exorbitant interest, like we have started by highlighting right there. So a majority of Kenyans have said that, well, times are tough, and therefore they're left with no choice but to survive. And this is the easiest way of survival. Like you say, you borrow Peter to pay Paul, or you borrow Paul to pay Peter. Also, they say that youth are the largest users of quick loans, like the Hustler Fund. And what's unfortunate is that they're also saying that as opposed to what was intended for the Hustler funds, for instance, it was about people getting loans and, making some payments pretty fast, or making a business, or perhaps just generating revenue out of that. That is contrary to what is actually happening, that a majority of people are borrowing the Hustler Fund, as a form of survival, so that they can buy food for family and all that. 39.4% of users are of age 26 to 35 years, while those 18, or those who fall under 18 to 25, also show high uptake. And that in rural areas are especially vulnerable, forming about 45.5% of the financially excluded due to poverty, lack of phones or IDs. And of course, with limited access to formal credit, many young people turn to mobile lenders as the only available option. Are you a culprit? Do you fall under these numbers that are there? What are some of the reasons you think you have found yourself at this particular state? Another number speaks of borrowers report hidden charges and unethical practices. That is from digital lenders, where of course they would definitely go to levels where they even call family, close people, threats, left, right, and center, because perhaps you have defaulted. 9.8% of mobile money users lost money due to fraud or system downtime. And financial health remains poor. Only 18.3% of Kenyans are considered financially healthy, which is sad, or perhaps a sad state of affairs. So this, of course, are the numbers. But what do you have to say? So let's listen in to some of the comments from you people as to why they found themselves into these spaces, as to why they think that actually Kenyans are in the same. And later on, again, we also get to hear from an expert.
Nilikuwa na repay limits inapanda, alafu saa shida inapatikana tena limits inarudi chini. Yeah, hizo ndio challenges. Biashara saa zingine iko chini, saa zingine iko juu, but challenge.
Sasa kusema tu kweli, mimi naye sijawahi kopa loan yoyote kwa simu, but niko na marafiki wengine kama 3 4 hivi washaikopa, but nimesikia huwa wanapeleka watu mbio sana, kama azini ukikopa ile duration ya kulipa ikifika, kama hujalipa unapelekwa mbio, wanapigia relatives wako, wanapigia kama familia yako, azini wale wako karibu na wewe.
The experience is quite iko na effect kidogo, but kuchukua unachukua rahisi ndio unatumia, lakini ikifika katikati sometimes labda wanakufungia such a like that's the only the effect that we get from such a Shylock. So mimi nilifanya hivyo, I think nilifanya kitu kama kuna nilipeana TV, wakati nilipa pesa kidogo ikafika tuseme kama sijamaliza repeat, so TV kaenda hivyo.
I don't want to get into a debt, you understand, whereby in the morning I receive a call and all that, but probably I would like to, depends on how people will later, sooner or later, it's that kind of attack, whereby I'll get attacked with someone, oh, you've not paid your debt, people come and all that.
All right, and of course you've had some of us saying their experiences as to that, but we have also spoken to Alex who is an economist, and he says that this is largely a trap as opposed to what many would consider a way to saving themselves the hassle of economic times or difficult economic times. So let's hear what Alex has to say.
Economy is prevalent in Kenya, and it's predatory. And it comes in to fill in a void that is left by the traditional banking system. They have less bureaucracy. You get your money instantly, but now the challenge is when it comes to repayment, because their methods of recovering their money is also not your usual ways. At times they can be very rough on you. The sort of collateral they require, maybe your ID, your logbooks, your title deeds, it's bad out there. In my view, they're exploiting the fact that banks are not serving, especially the low in the economy, well. So they've come in and their rates are quite exorbitant. If the banking sector was working, then they wouldn't have a chance. As you see, their percentages are very high. It could even be some are at 10% per day, others per week, which is very high compared to what you get from banks. So you find some of the people who go to Shylocks already are indebted elsewhere, or they don't have food for that day. The beginning point would be government should reduce its borrowing in the domestic market to make resources available for the private sector. Some are very crude. They will include even calling people who are close to you. Some of them will even be physical. Some will take your property away by force. Shylocks are not your ordinary, very humble guys. They have to be tough in, in the Kenyan style, such that if you don't repay, you know for sure they'll come.